I'm Father Antonio, as Luca just said. I'm originally from Colombia in South America, but my story is a bit long. But the short story is that I ended up meeting the fraternity of communal liberation, which is a movement in the church started by Father Luigi Giussani, and through that group, I then met the fraternity of St. Charles Borromeo. And through them, I went to Italy, did my seminary formation there, and my superiors then asked me to go on mission to Taiwan. So I'm currently in Taiwan. It's a small island off the southeast coast of China, of mainland China. It has about 23 million people, and out of those 23 million, we're faring pretty well in terms of the crisis right now, because there's only about 400 or so people who have contracted the illness, and it's fairly contained. Our mission here is comprised of two parishes, one dedicated to St. Francis Xavier and one dedicated to St. Paul. So 2 of us are here at St. Francis Xavier, and 3 of us are at St. Paul's. Apart from that, we're also present at the largest Catholic university here on the island, Foreign University, where 3 of our priests teach Italian. They teach at the Italian department there, and then 2 of us study. I'm getting a master's in Spanish studies, and our latest member who came here in September is studying Chinese. That's what we do the first 2 years we were here full time, at least 2 years. Some of us also need more. And then apart from that, we're also dedicated to furthering the life of community liberation, of the movement that we belong to. As I said, that through which I met a different part of the church and my faith again, and then also a way to the priesthood. So today I wanted to share with you a bit of what we've been living. So since the pandemic struck, we've been very lucky because Taiwan, as I said, took some early preventive measures, and so has been able to contain the virus. We've been lucky; we haven't had to go into quarantine at all. The university has stayed open. At first, the church has also stayed open, but then the bishops, as a preventive measure, closed them, or at least suspended mass. And so we haven't had mass for about Sunday mass for about a month. But just last week they reopened masses during the week, so from Monday to Saturday. And now on Sundays we're waiting for the bishops to allow us to have mass again. So in the meantime, this challenge has I think one of the most beautiful things that has happened since this challenge arose was that in order to meet to make front to this crisis, we started having meetings together, right, with the priests. But I think the first thing that struck me was the priest that is in charge of us here, that guides us, Father Donato. From the first moment, asked us, okay, what do you guys think? What do you guys want to propose to our parishioners, to our friends? And and just from the first lunch we had together talking about it, all sorts of ideas started coming up, because of what the bishops asked us, we couldn't hold any of the activities we usually held, and so we had to start doing everything online, as most people. And I was very surprised by all the contributions that the other priests came up with, right? And so Father Emanuele, for example, is the parish priest here. He decided to have a daily video in which he presents the life of the gospel of the day. And so that, which is a new way. Even he seems to be even providing more than he used to, because beforehand there was only daily mass, and because it's in Chinese, he wouldn't necessarily even give a homily. But now he gives a homily every day to his parishioners, and it's a way to be close to them. And so this also moved me to also be close to the people that I was following, which was the youth group. and seeking ways to be closer to them. I would never imagine to meet online with, you know, the youth group goes from 11 to 14 years old. I would never imagine to meet online with them, right? But I'm struck that every time they actually go online. Sometimes you have to wait for them, remind them, call them up, hey, are you going to come? But they do it, you know, and it's and so it also speaks of an affection that they have. And then we're lucky here because even though we can't have activities, I can still go out to meet them. And so, you know, it's also an opportunity to be close to them in that sense. So I think that's the first thing I wanted to say, that this has made us come together and respond to this crisis together, which is, I think, a very important thing not to take for granted, which is the communion that we live together here in the house, which I'm very grateful for, because even with respects to when to even, you know, go out with what to even propose to the kids, right, on these online meetings. It's not just left up to my genius or my geniality to propose something, but talking with the other priests, ideas come up, and it's much it's the fruit of our life together. It's not simply the things that I come up with. So the other two things that I wanted to share with you were simply to talk about a couple of the people that I meet, that I've had the chance to meet here online, because on the Zoom meetings recently, and some of the things they shared. One of them is this girl called Ming Jie, and she is a 25-year-old Taiwanese girl, non-Catholic, and she started participating at some of the groups of community liberation, the movement that we belong to. This weekly meeting is called School of Community, and we usually read a text of Giussani, of Father Giussani, the founder of Community Liberation, and then we discuss it. But the starting point is our life, what we've been living. And this girl started coming because her friend knew us and invited her to come, even though this friend wasn't even coming to our meetings. But her friend invited her, and after we met her right before the whole pandemic struck. And since then, since January, she's been coming, meeting us every week, even online now. Now, she's been particularly struck badly because of this crisis, because she works in the tourism industry. She works at a call center for one of these online companies that sell, you know, tourism packages, vacations. And so even though she hasn't lost her job, she's had to cut down from work, and her salary has also decreased. Anyways, more than anything, she's been very anxious. On the one hand, she had just to go to work, you know, going on the metro, on the tube, as you would call it over there. She was just very anxious, and she would tell us, "Oh, I freak out every time I go into the underground. I'm watching around everybody. I'm cleaning my hands all the time with hand sanitizer. And then when I'm at work, I'm also worried about the people beside me. People who call are all angry because they want their money back." But being with you guys, after I've started participating with you at meetings, I've started, more than anything, realizing that this crisis gives me a chance to look at who I am, and that I have, as these people who are angry at me when I'm at work and they call me and they say they want their money back, I also have this possibility to be angry at them, or to also react in a different way. And so I see that this crisis, more than anything, puts forth this choice that I have, and that everybody has. We have a sort of a dark side, but also a positive side to us. And so she started sharing these things, and every week, what has struck me is that every week she, the free time she has now, she tells us she uses it to read the book, the book that we prepare for our meetings. And this girl is not even Christian. You know, most of the things that are written there, she doesn't even understand. Every time we go on we explain to her the gospel passage that we've read, because she's never heard of it. But she does it because she understands, she said, that this is something that allows her to look at people in a different way, starting from her own self. And being with us is giving her a bit of peace amidst this crisis. And so she even said, I pray. I have my own gods. Here they have this God which they refer to as the old guy in heaven, right? Which is kind of like one of the bigger gods. Here, the society here, there are many different gods that they worship, but there's this one that's kind of high up there, who can control maybe some things, and so they pray to him. And so she had shared that she prays to him, right? But then lately, when we were talking about Jesus and how it's more of a personal relationship that we have with our God, with the Christian God, with Jesus Christ, she asked a question. She said, it's as if listening to you guys speak, faith, I realized that maybe faith can help my life. And which means that I think she realizes that what she has in her own faith is different, at least from what we live. And so she asked this question, kind of perceiving that there's something there that's different and that attracts her. And so this has been, I think, one of the more beautiful encounters we've had during this time. And it's been, it's allowed us to look at our own faith in different eyes, right, through these people that we meet in this time of anxiety. Because even though the count here is low, we're all prone to the anxiety that she shares. And then the second example I wanted to share with you is that of another young woman. She's 28. She's a parishioner here, and she also participates at some of our weekly meetings. But she was sharing with me lately that whereas beforehand she would always come to Mass with her family on Sundays, now when she's at home, she's been, telling them, we can watch Mass online, it's going to come up. And her family members, her parents, her brothers say, oh, no, it's okay. You can watch it. We're not going to watch it. Even though they themselves beforehand went to Mass, normally went to Mass. It wasn't something that was strange to them. It was something that they did willingly and happily. And so she was a bit confused. She's like, what can I do? What should I do? And I told her, well, do you ever pray with your family? Have you ever prayed with them? Do you guys usually pray? And she's like, actually, no, we never really pray together. We never do, apart from going to Mass together, we've never really had a faith life together. This family, even though they're Catholic, they kind of rediscovered their faith in the past few years. In any case, so I told her, it's also an opportunity for you to share this desire you have with them, right? Maybe you understand something about the faith that they don't yet, and you can even just propose to pray together. If they don't want to watch the Mass yet, maybe they will in the future. You can start by saying, hey, do you guys want to pray together? And more than anything, start sharing what it is for you, why it's good in your own life, right? Because I think here there's a risk, I think, as in everywhere else, to live our faith individually. Here there's a lot of Protestants, and I think as Catholics, we're sometimes influenced by them to think, okay, we're going to have our own, I have my own faith, and my parents have they believe too, but they have their own faith life. Well, now we're stuck at home together on Sundays. Maybe we can pray together. Something that seems very natural, and yet not for granted. So, but it's encouraging to see people who have this desire to continue living with their faith in these times, and we're here also to accompany them, to recall that this is something that we all need, and we need to do it together with the people that are beside us.